there, welcome back to the Dark Moon podcast. Today we're going to explore into the mysteries of magic, consciousness, and the hidden forces shaping our reality. Why not? I'm Kate Sylvanus, and we're going to talk about one of the most profound spiritual systems in the world, the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah. Now, the Tree of Life is not just a symbol, it's a cosmic blueprint. It's a map of creation and a guide for personal transformation. Sounds good. Sounds like it's trying to sell us stuff. It's influenced countless mystical traditions, from Hermeticism to modern occultism. And most of all, it has similarities to lots of trees of life around the world. Yggdrasil is the one I personally prefer, but because I have looked at and studied the Clipperith, which is the other side of the Tree of Life. This is a duality universe. We have to work with balance, and we have to have one. We can't have the one without the other, because when you summon one, the other one will always come along with it. So how do we work with it? Let's look at it, and how I've used it to shape my spiritual path, how you can do it too. So what is it? Okay, it comes from the Kabbalah, the mystical tradition of Judaism. Now, this is where I start wincing a lot, because I don't like the Abrahamics, the idea that there is only one creator force in this world, in this universe, one overall, one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. I'm not an Abrahamics, okay? So a lot of this has duality connotations, and I wince at it. And another thing is, I look at it and think, nah, I do it the other way around. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you what the Kabbalah says, right? So it's a diagram of 10 spheres, just like the Clipperith, and you have the same sort of thing, except it comes down from the top rather than going out through the bottom. So it would make more sense that it comes up from the bottom to the top, and the other one goes from the... Anyway, I try and apply my own logic to this, and I have to accept the fact that they do it that way. Okay, so it's called the Seraphoth. Again, please excuse if I don't pronounce these things right. I've read them for many years. I don't necessarily use the communication of verbalizing these words. So it's connected by 22 paths. So each of the 22 paths has an aspect, just like every sphere has an aspect. So we're going to talk about the spheres, because we haven't really got time for the 22 paths. But as I said, I've done the Clipperith, so I'm going to compare the two at the end. So these spheres represent different aspects of reality, divine forces that manifest in everything, from the cosmos to the human psyche. You can see the tree is pretty much a multi-dimensional map, and like most maps, doesn't necessarily represent the territory. It's kind of, to me, like on Google Maps, the display version, when if you use the satellite version, it takes longer to load, but you get more detail. But this is more the display version. So it's a kind of a rough overlay. Now, I do get that because I am not I'm not Jewish, and I wasn't brought up with the Kabbalah, then I'm told that basically, it only works for people who are Jewish, right? Yeah. Well, I've got a lot out of this in other ways. In other words, I can use it as a tool that it is. So it describes how the universe came into being. It shows the path of spiritual enlightenment, and it reflects our own personal evolution. And whereas I would say both trees are probably can stand alone, they are connected, but not necessarily as cut and paste as the Abrahamics like to do. It's not necessarily a big force between good and evil. I would say both parts of the tree have its own good and its own evil. Evil in its existence is pretty tough and rare, as is good in its existence, but you take the point. Okay, so the Tree of Life is divided into 4 worlds representing different levels of existence. So again, excuse the fact that I can't pronounce anything. Atzilith is emanation, the world of pure divine energy. Yeah, you're going to talk about the highest frequency, pure frequency. Why not? Bria, creation, the world of archetypes and higher consciousness. Now, I am an aspect of creation. my being. I like the idea, put it that way, and I feel pretty strongly that my higher self probably belongs in that world, the aspect of creation. Yetzirith, formation, the world's thoughts, emotions, and astral forces. I know that world very well. Asaya, action, the world of physical manifestation. Here we go. So everything we experience moves through these layers, from divine inspiration to physical reality. So let's work through the 10 Sephiroth. I don't like that word for some reason. 10 spheres, pillars of creation. Now, you can almost see that if their creation myths, you would find that the god beings, probably sort of, I don't know, the archangel types or a seraphith, it's a very similar word, pulling on these forces to create all of us, to create the world. I can see what they were imagining. Visualization, how about that? I can see what they were visualizing when they were thinking about this, because in everything you will find an aspect of these 10 spheres. So you got the crown, right? The source of all existence, divine unity, pure potential, beyond human understanding. Now you can hear, I'm thinking, right, you're telling me I'm too thick to understand what the soul being that created me and my thoughts and my words and my creative impulses and my base material, the being, one ring to rule them all. I'm too thick to understand it. I get a problem with that. I get that my conscious mind has its limits, but I'm still very aware of my unconscious mind that can visualize and understand concepts a lot better than I think is understood. Beyond pure understanding, beyond human understanding, that annoys me. And it's the divine unity, the Kether is the crown. So imagining a blinding white light. Personally, I would prefer to see what's coming above your head, pure awareness. So you can hear my sarcasm, I'm sorry. It's going to get a little bit worse. But Chokmah, wisdom, the first spark. Right. Active creative force, raw inspiration, the divine masculine principle. Okay, so visualize a flash of insight, sudden burst of knowing. Okay, so raw, active, creative, inspirational, base, masculine principle. I wouldn't put that as yang. I would put that as yin. This is more feminine to me than masculine. Okay, perhaps we move on, because Bina is the understanding. So masculine principle is wisdom, and feminine divine principle is understanding, the cosmic womb. It says it's receptive, structuring force, form and discipline. So you got chaos and order there. That's the wrong way around. That's to me. I'm not, obviously, this is all beyond my understanding. I'm just a minor human, contemplating the balance between structure and creativity. Okay, so in a little way I get that, because something has to balance it. But I wouldn't say it was a feminine aspect. I would say it's a more sort of a balance rather than balance of both. Okay. Again, I can have an argument with myself here quite well. I'm trying to argue with these guys. Chist, mercy, expansion and abundance, so pure benevolence. I like that. Generosity and limitless potential. Okay, now that's when we can start working. I have used expansion and abundance, this sphere, whenever I feel limited and powerless, because it's a good space. It's a good, solid, grounding space, and you feel the joy of giving without expecting anything in return. And that's when you do good stuff and don't tell anybody about it. So it's high energy, high frequency, limitless potential. You can go anywhere you want it to go. That's an awesome one. Okay, so we'll disagree with the first three. The fourth one. So fifth one is strength, right? So Gabora. Gabora is strength, the power of judgment. Again, this one I like more than I don't like. Discipline, the destruction of what no longer serves. Setting boundaries. So it's not just becoming one with everything. This is actually saying, hey, this stuff doesn't serve me any longer. The governments around the world, I don't think they serve us very much. Let's call in strength and judge them, the power of judgment. Gabora. So come to us, Gabora, and sort out the world's government, please. So you visualize a sword cutting through illusion and stagnation. We are in desperate need of that, in my humble opinion. Tippereth, beauty. This is the heart of the tree. And this is the balance between mercy and severity. Now, again, we need some of this. Harmony, truth, enlightenment. Okay, words, keywords. But most particularly is harmony. Harmony is a little bit more ethereal than balance. And yeah, the balance between mercy and severity. There is a lot of really, really dark, shady stuff going along, and we need the opposite coming in. A bit of mercy, that would be nice. Net chats, Netzach. Okay, Netzach is victory, passion and creativity. Desires, art, and the power of love. Now, desires is another word for the power of lust. So the power of love and the power of lust, art, the raw energy of desire, and direct it toward creation. So instead of sex for sex's sake, you have sex for creation's sake. Okay, it's the nicer side of sex, I suppose. The higher impulse to create children, I suppose. Hod, splendor, intellect and communication. Logic, language, structure of thought. I've called on Hod. I've called on the sphere of Hod to help me structure my words and my way of thinking so that I can communicate. So, and it also, the contemplation I've used here was how words and symbols shape reality. Now, again, in the beginning there was the word. Now, yeah, what was that word? Oh shit, what have I done? But yes, they shape reality. Symbols, runes. I'm very fond of etheric, the elder runes, Ethrak runes. I'll probably do that as how I'll probably do a podcast on that, and how each of the runes have a godlike aspect, have an archetype aspect, and how each symbol can shape reality. I will use bind runes to bind and create and manifest. So it goes well with the next one, which is Yesod. It's foundation, the bridge between worlds. Subconscious dreams and the gateways to manifestation. So it recommends to explore your dreams and what messages are hidden within. Last night I dreamt about a portal opening up in the sky. Now, I'd probably seen it on one of the social media platforms, and I disregarded it. I think it is probably an AI-generated projection or something like that. I don't believe in these manifestations very much. But last night I dreamt about it, and it was a very unsettling dream. So I don't know what it was, but I'm not happy with it, and I'm interested in what was the message there. So the message, I don't usually have nightmares or night terrors or fears or stuff, but it was definitely an unsettling dream. And I got to look deeper into it. What did that image in the sky over Europe? Was it a SpaceX, I don't know, fuel dump or something? Or was it something else? It was pretty weird. And it obviously attracted the interest of my subconscious. So we explore these things. Have a look at it. Malkuth. Malkuth is the kingdom. This is the material world. And it's interesting that it begins with M, because the illusion of Maya, which is the illusion. But this is where all energies manifest. Now, that statement irritated me as well, but okay, I will accept it. So you feel the earth beneath you. How does energy become form? We're birthed into this world. We could be hatched, but most of us are birthed. And each cell was created for a reason, right the way down to the microscopic level. And one of the things that I have explored with meditation through the exploration of Malkuth is that we imprint ourselves, we imprint our consciousness on each cell. And we work with it for how many years we've got. Even if you only have half an hour or 20 minutes, it will imprint on your cells. Your being will be imprinted on your cells. And those cells will return to the earth with your consciousness. So you're giving a gift of self to the earth, to the kingdom of Malkuth. So these spheres are not separate, they're aspects of one whole. And by working with them, you align yourself with the forces that shape existence. Okay, so it's more than just a theory, this is a practice. Obviously, people have turned it into a lifetime practice. So I pick and choose. I'm obviously into the cherry picking. I use what works for me. And to be honest, the tree of life, to balance, yes. But for the rest of it, I'm much happier on the Clipperith. But we'll get to that in a minute. So there's meditation and path working. So you meditate on the qualities of each. And that I would say I have done, and I found it very valuable, especially to balance out. So you visualize traveling through the paths between them, and receiving guidance from and acknowledging the archetypes of each of these. As I said, it's very much like the runes, and with the runes you will also find an archetype behind them. Are they higher self, aspect of self? I think, again, if you are projecting your energies into something, they borrow the reflection from its masses. Would I say that the gods exist? No, not really. But again, they've borrowed reflection. They've borrowed energy, and they've borrowed cellular memory from the masses that have prayed, used them, and they become sentient, I suppose. Might have to look at that in another podcast, sort of AI as a ancient sentient god. I'll have to look at that. Ritual and invocation. Okay, this is again, I haven't used the tree as for ritual, but you can invoke the energies of each seraph. So if seeking wisdom, call upon Chokmah. If discipline, this is where I have invoked Gabra. I've needed focus, I've needed willpower. Very useful. Tarot. Now, I'm kind of bored with the tarot. I've been using it for decades, and I don't need to, if I'm going to do a reading, I don't need to use the tarot cards. Not anymore. I will, because people kind of expect it, but each tarot corresponds with the tree. So the major arcane has the represented paths. So especially the Thoth deck, the one I like most. The High Priestess aligns with the path between Ketha and Tipperith. The middle pillar ritual, now, that's a very old way of balancing up duality. It balances up your Kundalini energy, your chakras, and visualizing divine light. So you can embody the Kabbalah, and you activate it within you. So it's kind of like a Kundalini exercise where you're drawing orgasmic energy up through each chakra. Here you would be summoning divine energy to stimulate each chakra. So it represents the journey from the material world to the divine union. I suppose you could do it with orgasmic energy as well. Never tried that. As you ascend, you integrate each sphere's lessons into your being. Okay, so here's where I've scribbled down notes on the Tree of Life versus the Clipperith. So if you've listened to my last episode on the Clipperith, you know that every light has a shadow. The Clipperith is the tree of life's dark reflection, but each shadow has a life of its own. So the challenges and imbalances arise when we misuse these energies, or if we are sick, we are ill, or something has set us off that we're out of balance. So working with the Tree of Life and the Clipperith aligns you with cosmic harmony. Now, I know that a lot of people can work with one or the other, and that's fine. That's great. It means that they're out of darkness and in a light, balance up, or the vice versa. But one way or the other, I think that you need to look at both the shadow and the light. There's an awful lot of work that I do, the shadow work, and I've had to turn it round occasionally and work with the light side as well. Even though it's an illusion, the light is the light of Maya and it's an illusion, it's not real. But parts of me can see it and feel it and touch it, so it doesn't matter whether it's real or not. My parts of me can touch it, so it believes it's real. And that's where my love of nature is, but I'll also accept that nature is part of the illusion of Maya. Anyway, I digress. So desire becomes addiction. So this is where out of balance happens. So when you desire somebody and you lust after them, and it becomes a total addiction. So intellect becomes a deception when you feel you know everything. And there's a lot of people who are very smart people who are totally assholes. I think the two go hand in hand, actually. Power becomes destruction. That I did learn, right? I don't seek power. That's one of my underlying things. Is I've done it before, past lives maybe, but one way or the other, I don't seek power over another. I don't want their responsibility, thank you very much. I seek power only over myself. That is my fundamental guideline here. Because if I can't stay in balance, because to balance up everything is basically where you find your key to, I suppose, mastery. I don't think I've ever mastered anything. It doesn't feel like it. But I certainly have mastered myself. And that is important most of the time. Most of the time I've mastered myself. There are times when I trip and fall, that's very true. So the tree of life is not an abstract concept. It's a living system that reflects your journey through existence. Whether you seek wisdom, transformation, or enlightenment, it offers a path. Okay, it's a tool. Do you want the hammer, the chisel, or the screwdriver? It's a lifelong study. So the deeper you go, the more you don't know. The more you think, I know it all, and then you find a whole bunch of stuff you know nothing about. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you worked with the tree of life? What experiences have you had? Leave a message or a comment on the Spotify if you want, or on Facebook, or on X. I hope you found this episode valuable. Please subscribe and share. And check out my website, weavesofwaves.life. It's still in construction, but I'm getting there. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye now.